Kayla sat at the back of the hall, near the kitchen, not with her family, but with the waiters. It was her brother's engagement dinner. The room was full of lights, laughter, and expensive clothes. Everyone looked happy, but Kayla sat alone, out of sight, as if she didn't belong. She wore a simple dress and did her own hair. She had no makeup, no jewelry. When she arrived, no one said hello. There was no seat reserved for her. Her name wasn't on the seating chart. A woman walked up to her and asked for more champagne, thinking she was one of the servers. Kayla nodded and pointed quietly toward the drinks table, too embarrassed to explain. Her mother, Diane, didn't even glance her way. Her older sister, Amber, rolled her eyes when she saw her. Her brother, Marcus, the one getting engaged, never looked in her direction. When he stood up to give his speech, he smiled proudly. "Thank you to my family," he said. "Your love and support means the world to me." The crowd clapped. Kayla didn't move. Her chest felt tight. She wasn't included in that family he just praised. She stood up, trying to slip out quietly before anyone noticed. But then an older woman at a nearby table looked up at her. "Wait, aren't you Diane's daughter? What are you doing back here with the staff?" Kayla froze. Her throat closed up. She didn't know what to say. She wanted to disappear, but something inside her stirred, something that had been quiet for too long. Kayla has always been the outlier in her own family. Her late father, James Bryant, adored her, but he passed away from a heart attack when she was just 12. Since then, her relationship with her mother and siblings crumbled. Her mother, Diane, changed after James died. Once warm and loving, she became cold and distant. She threw herself into church committees, community clubs, and public image. She cared more about what people thought of the family than how the family actually felt inside. Marcus, the oldest, became her pride. A successful young lawyer, clean-cut, confident, and everything she wanted to show the world. Amber, the middle child, leaned into beauty, fashion, and social media. Diane adored her too, always proud to show off her daughter's photo shoots and brand deals. But Kayla didn't fit. She liked reading, drawing, writing poems in old notebooks. She was quiet. Her clothes were simple. She didn't chase attention, and that made her invisible at home. While Marcus got praise and Amber got gifts, Kayla got silence, or rolled eyes, or sighs. She lived in the attic room her father had built for her just before he died. It had slanted ceilings, a small window, and a wooden floor that creaked when she moved. To Kayla, it was the only place that still felt like home. Every morning she woke up early to clean the house before school. She made breakfast, washed dishes, folded laundry, things no one thanked her for. Her mother didn't ask how she was doing. Her siblings barely spoke to her. She often ate dinner alone at the kitchen counter while they laughed in the living room. Even when she got accepted into a good college, one of the top schools in the state, her mother's reaction was flat. "We'll see if we can afford it," Diane said, brushing her off like a sales call. Kayla knew what that meant. No, not for her. Not when Marcus needed help with his wedding. Not when Amber was planning to move into a fancy apartment in the city. There was always money for them, never for her. Still, Kayla dreamed. She dreamed of escaping the house, of walking into a new life where she wasn't treated like a ghost. She wanted to become someone who mattered, but the years of silence and cold looks had done something to her. They made her doubt her own worth. She started to believe that maybe her family was right. Maybe she really didn't belong. At school, she kept to herself. She had one or two quiet friends, teachers who said she had potential. She filled sketchbooks with drawings of places she wished she lived in. Cities, studios, apartments where the sun came through big windows and no one shouted. She didn't talk about home. She didn't want pity. The only time she felt close to her father anymore was when she sat in the attic, holding one of the books he gave her, or reading the birthday card he wrote just before he passed. He had written, "You are more than enough. Never let them make you small." But that card had been read and reread so many times that the ink had started to fade, just like her memory of his voice. Now, at 18, Kayla felt like a stranger in her own house. She had learned how to move quietly, how to stay out of the way, how to pretend it didn't hurt, but it did. Every time her mother walked past her without speaking, every time Marcus posted family pictures and cropped her out, every time Amber said, "You still live here," with a laugh that wasn't really a joke, the engagement dinner was just the final straw. They hadn't even told her about it until 2 days before. No dress was bought for her, no ride offered. She came on her own, found herself missing from the seating plan, and got pushed to the back near the kitchen with the waiters. And still, she showed up. She showed up because deep down, some small part of her still hoped, still wanted to be seen, still thought maybe, just maybe, someone in her family would say, "I'm glad you're here." But no one did. That night, sitting with the waiters, she realized something. She had spent years waiting for love that would never come. She had been loyal to people who couldn't even look at her. And maybe finally, it was time to stop trying to belong in a place that had already let her go. Something in her heart shifted, not loud, not angry, just quiet and strong. She was done waiting for permission to matter. And even though she didn't know how yet, she knew one thing for sure. She had to get out before they erased her completely. After the dinner, Kayla walked toward the front of the hall to wait for her ride. The hallway was quiet, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. As she turned the corner, she heard voices. Her mother's voice, low but clear, speaking to one of the guests. "Kayla? Oh, that girl. She's always been distant. James spoiled her, but she never turned out right." Kayla stopped in her tracks. Her chest tightened. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. "She's different," her mother continued. "Always in her own world. The others, Marcus, Amber, they're achievers. Kayla, she's just there." Kayla turned slowly and walked the other way, her heart pounding. The hallway blurred as tears filled her eyes. She didn't know it could still hurt this much, after everything. But hearing her mother say it out loud, like she was nothing, it cut deeper than anything before. She stepped outside, trying to hold herself together. The night air was cold against her skin. She folded her arms tight around herself and stared at the street. That's when the woman from earlier, the one who had recognized her, approached. "Kayla?" the woman said softly. Kayla turned. It was Mrs. Evelyn Moore. Her grey hair was swept into a neat bun. She wore a deep green shawl and had the quiet authority of someone used to being listened to. "I'm sorry to bother you," Mrs. Moore said, "but I just wanted to say, I knew your father. James and I worked together for years. He was proud of you. He talked about you like you were the sun itself." Kayla swallowed hard. No one had said her name like that all night. "I saw how they treated you," the woman continued. "And forgive me, but I'm shocked. This isn't what your father would have wanted. Not at all." Kayla blinked quickly, trying not to cry. She wasn't used to kindness. Not like this. "Would you mind having lunch with me next week?" Mrs. Moore asked gently. "There are some things we should talk about, especially regarding your father's will." Kayla's eyes widened. "His will?" Mrs. Moore nodded slowly. "Yes, I know Diane told you it didn't exist, but that's not true." Kayla felt her stomach drop. For years, she'd asked. After the funeral, on her birthdays, any time her mother mentioned money, but Diane always shut her down with the same words. "There was no will. Your father left nothing." "You mean, there's really a will?" Kayla asked. "There is," Mrs. Moore said firmly, "and I believe you were supposed to receive something important, something that may change a lot." Kayla couldn't speak. Her whole body felt numb. "I'll have my driver pick you up next Thursday," Mrs. Moore added. "We'll talk over lunch. I'll explain everything." Kayla nodded slowly, still in shock. "Okay." Mrs. Moore smiled kindly. "You're not alone, Kayla. Not anymore." She walked away, leaving Kayla standing there, under the soft yellow lights of the event hall entrance. The noise from the dinner still hummed faintly behind her, but she felt like she was in a different world now. A world where maybe, just maybe, the truth was finally coming to the surface. She pulled her coat tighter and looked up at the sky. Something had cracked open, and it wasn't just her heart, it was everything. At lunch, Mrs. Moore sits across from Kayla at a quiet table in a small restaurant downtown. The food on the plates goes untouched. "Your father left a trust in your name," Mrs. Moore says gently. "He set it up before he passed. It includes full tuition for any college you choose, monthly living expenses, and ownership of 25% of the family's commercial property. That small mall on 11th Street. That brings in rent every month. You were supposed to benefit from it too." Kayla's mouth parts, but no sound comes out. She grips her glass of water with both hands. Her heart beats so fast it feels like it might break her ribs. "All this time," she says softly, "I thought he didn't leave anything." Mrs. Moore sighs. "I was overseas these last few years, doing legal work. I trusted Diane to handle it, but clearly something went very wrong. Diane told me he died without a will," Kayla says, still barely believing it. "She said there was no money, No plan. Nothing. She lied, Mrs. Moore says flatly. And that's a serious offense. Especially if she used funds that were legally meant for you. Kayla stares down at her plate. Her appetite is gone. She suddenly feels both light and heavy at the same time. You deserve better, Mrs. Moore says, placing a warm hand over hers. And now, you have proof. We can take this to court. But first, I'd advise you to speak to her. See what she says. Kayla nods slowly, her fingers shaking. I will. Later that evening, Kayla walks into the house quietly. Diane is sitting in the living room with Amber, sipping wine. Marcus is in the corner, scrolling through his phone. Kayla stands in front of them, heart pounding. I want to talk about the trust, she says. Diane doesn't look up. What trust? The one Dad left for me. The one you said didn't exist. Diane's eyes finally rise to meet hers. Cold, sharp. That money doesn't exist. James didn't leave you anything because he knew you wouldn't amount to much. Kayla's breath catches. Her vision blurs. Amber snorts into her glass. This again? Marcus stands, tense. Kayla, stop digging. You're going to ruin everything. I talked to Mrs. Moore, Kayla says, voice shaking but steady. She told me the truth. Diane stands up slowly. That woman has no say in this family. You need to drop this, Kayla. No, Kayla says. You stole from me. Diane walks up to her, close enough to feel her breath. You ungrateful little girl. Then the slap comes. Fast, loud, burning. Kayla staggers a little but doesn't fall. She holds her cheek, eyes wide. Marcus steps forward. You keep pushing like this and you'll be out on the street. No money, no place to go. Amber just laughs. Maybe she'll finally learn how the real world works, Amber says. Kayla turns and walks away, slowly, carefully, feeling like she might collapse. But she doesn't cry, not this time. She waits until the house is quiet. Then she tiptoes to the old study, the room that used to be her father's. It's been turned into a storage space now, filled with boxes and broken furniture. Dust covers everything. She opens the drawers of the old desk one by one until she finds a metal file cabinet hidden behind old photo album. It's locked. She looks around and finds a ring of keys on a hook near the door. One of them fits. Inside the drawer, she finds old bank records, property papers, and finally, a thick folder labeled Kayla Bryant Trust. Her hands tremble as she opens it. Everything is there. Legal documents, signatures, a list of assets, and then a letter, an envelope with her name written in her father's handwriting. The words, to Kayla on your 13th birthday. She opens it slowly. If you're reading this, it means they tried to keep it from you, but you're stronger than you know, Kay. Never forget who you are to me. You are my heart, my joy, the one I trusted most to carry forward what I believed in. Love, truth, and kindness. I wanted you to have choices, freedom, a future. Don't let them steal that from you. I love you, always. Kayla clutches the letter to her chest. The tears come hard now. Not from pain, but from something deeper. From finally being seen, heard, remembered. She sits on the dusty floor and cries like she hasn't cried in years. Not because she's broken, but because she's waking up. She has truth now, and she's not going to be silent anymore. Kayla returns to Mrs. Moore's office 2 days later, clutching the folder of documents and her father's letter close to her chest. She places them on the desk without a word. Mrs. Moore reads everything in silence, her face growing more serious by the minute. This is enough, Mrs. Moore says. We can file a petition with the court right away. You have every legal right to that trust, and your father's wishes were clear. Kayla nods. I'm ready. I don't want to live in that house one more day wondering if I matter. Mrs. Moore gently smiles. You matter, and we're going to prove it. Legal action is filed the next morning. Within days, the news spreads, first through whispered calls among the family, then publicly. Diane is furious. She storms around the house, throwing things and shouting. She's turning this family into a scandal, she screams. Marcus is livid. Do you have any idea what this is doing to my image? My fiancé's parents are asking questions. Amber takes to Instagram, ranting in her stories. Some people can't be happy for others, always playing the victim. If you're not celebrated, maybe it's because you bring nothing to the table. Kayla sees the video. It stings, but not as much as it used to. She has something stronger now, the truth. The court date arrives quickly. The courtroom is small, quiet, but heavy with tension. Diane sits stiffly at the defense table, her lawyer whispering nervously beside her. Kayla sits beside Mrs. Moore, holding her father's letter inside her bag like a shield. The judge listens as Mrs. Moore presents the evidence. the trust documents, bank records, forged signatures, and proof of money transfers from Kayla's account into Diane's personal spending. Mrs. Diane Bryant, the judge says firmly, you were legally appointed as the temporary guardian of this trust until your daughter came of age. Instead, you siphoned her funds, forged her name, and denied her rightful access to property and financial support for over 6 years. Diane's face goes pale. The courtroom is silent as the judge continues. Kayla Bryant, as of today, all withheld funds are to be returned to you. You are granted full access to your inheritance, including your share of the commercial property. Kayla exhales slowly, tears threatening her eyes, but she keeps them back. She's stronger now. Then comes the final decision. You also have the right, the judge adds, to pursue criminal charges of fraud and forgery against your mother. There's a pause. Everyone turns to Kayla. She stands slowly and looks at her mother, the woman who raised her without love, who told her she didn't matter, who stole her future and smiled while doing it. Diane won't meet her eyes. Kayla takes a deep breath. You took everything from me, she says quietly. You stole my money, my memories, my place in this family. You made me believe I was worthless. Diane flinches. But I'm taking back my peace, Kayla says, her voice clear. I won't let you poison my future. I'm not pressing charges. I just want you out of my life. She turns, walks out of the courtroom, and doesn't look back. Outside, the air is cool and still. Mrs. Moore joins her on the steps, handing her a copy of the court ruling. You did well, she says softly. Kayla nods. The paper feels heavy in her hands, but in a good way, like justice. She looks out at the street ahead. It feels wide open, like her life is finally her own. And for the first time in years, she feels truly free. Kayla moves into her college dorm on a cool Saturday morning. The campus is lively, students dragging suitcases, parents hugging their kids goodbye. But Kayla unpacks quietly, alone, and that's okay. Her tuition is fully covered by her trust. She's majoring in fine arts, finally doing what she loves. Her side of the dorm room is already filling with canvases, sketchbooks, and a camera her father once gifted her when she was 9. There's a quiet joy in the small things, making her own schedule, choosing her own meals, painting until 2 a.m. without anyone shouting her name or slamming a door. For the first time, her life belongs to her. Mrs. Moore visits once a month. They meet for lunch, talk about classes, and sometimes just sit quietly in the campus gardens. She's more than a mentor now. She's the closest thing Kayla has to family. Your father would be proud, Mrs. Moore tells her one day, but I think he'd be even prouder that you're proud of yourself. Kayla smiles at that. It means something to hear it out loud. One day she receives a text from Marcus. Can we talk? I owe you that much. She stares at the message for a long time. Then she deletes it. She doesn't need closure from people who only reached for her when their image cracked. She's done begging to be seen. Her peace doesn't need their permission. Later that month, she visits the bank and signs a form that puts part of her inheritance into a new fund, a small scholarship named after her father, the James Bryant Fund for Quiet Girls. It's for young women like her, the ones who are overlooked, unheard, and pushed to the background, but who carry art and power inside them. Girls who just need someone to believe in their voice. She doesn't tell anyone in her family. She doesn't need to. At night, Kayla paints in her room with music playing softly in the background. Her walls are covered with portraits, not of the people who hurt her, but of who she's becoming. Strong, software seen. She's not the girl by the kitchen doors anymore. Months later, Kayla attends another engagement party, this time as a welcomed guest of a new friend from college. The venue is bright and warm, filled with music, flowers, and people who smile with genuine kindness. She's seated near the front, right beside the bride's cousin, laughing over jokes she actually understands. No one confuses her for a server. No one ignores her name. She wears a soft blue dress that hugs her just right, and her camera rests in her lap. Throughout the night, she captures candid moments, a grandmother's teary smile, a couple dancing in the corner, a child sneaking an extra cupcake. Her art isn't about hiding anymore. It's how she sees the world, how she sees herself. At one point, she notices a mother adjusting her daughter's dress gently, and for a second, something tugs at her chest. But it passes. The ache has softened. There's no bitterness left, just understanding. Some people weren't meant to hold you the way you needed. that doesn't mean you stay small. She steps outside for some air. The sky is full of stars, and the wind dances through her curl. She closes her eyes and whispers, "You were right, Dad. I'm stronger than they think." And for the first time, she fully believes it. Hey besties! Thanks a ton for sticking with Kayla's story till the very end. If it hit you right in the heart like it did us, go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more real, emotional drama that stays with you. Love you loads. See you in the next one. Bye.